Real quick, before the podcast starts, I want to shout out to Taraz, T. Chori K, Cody Clark, and One Subset Tech. And brothers, I got your emails. I promise y'all that this upcoming week, I'm going to go over them. We're going to do a show, and we're going to talk about it, brothers. Thank y'all so much, and please enjoy the show. What's going on, everybody? This week on the Analog Circle podcast, we get a clearer picture of the length of CyberPunk 2077. Jim Ryan, this guy doubles down on not putting newly released games into a service day and date. This guy been under fire all week long. But moving on, Nintendo Switch gets another Xbox One exclusive. These guys just won't quit, and the lies won't stop either. And the all-digital PlayStation 5 may be harder to get than you may think. All of these stories can be found here with a lot more in episode 145 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Keon Mitchell, and I truly want to say thank you for tuning in to another episode of the podcast. Now, if you guys want to listen to some previously recorded episodes, man, just go over to Google, type in the Analog Circle podcast over there to take you where you need to be. We're over on Amazon Music now, which is pretty dope, and a couple of other spots that I'm not even 100% familiar with. I just got a couple of emails that said it moved around to some other places, and hey, man, just go out there and find it if you are interested, but if not, don't even worry about it. But, man, guys, I'm going to just go ahead without further ado because, man, we got some news this week to go over. And, yeah, man, we just going to jump into it because I didn't play anything this week. The Ravens, we got another W up under our belts, 2-0. Feeling good about that. But, yeah, let's go ahead and get into this gaming news this week, though. So, I want to start things off with Xbox. And I think this bit of news is telling because according to Xbox spokesperson Cindy Walker, she felt like Halo Infinite was a game they were not. Man, I don't even believe this, but she says that she felt like Halo Infinite was a game they were not reliant on during the launch of Series X. That sounds just ridiculous. But here's the quote. She says, having Halo at our launch would have been tremendous, but we are not reliant on massive exclusive titles to drive console adoption. Our players will have now this is just ridiculous. She says our players will have thousands of games from 4 generations of Xbox available to play on launch day. End of quote. Now, what the world is happening here? This person, now, of course, PR, these companies, they lie, they aren't our friends, they tell us one thing and they backtrack and they say something else. But god dag, if this is true, and these guys weren't reliant on Halo at launch, then what the heck were you relying on? She said backwards compatibility, talking about having thousands of games to play from 4 generations of Xbox. It's really 3 because they only have the original, the 360, and the One. So, I mean, what the world are you going to have on there that is new for the Series X? Unless you're talking about Bright Memory, The Ascent, it's another game on there that I'm forgetting the name of. It's a first-person shooter, possibly sometime down the road. But I don't think this is a fantastic. This just isn't a great strategy. Your strategy is basically, to me, talking about you're going to rely on last generation games as well as previous generations of games instead of bringing out new ones. And talking about that, you feel this woman said that, I want to repeat this, having Halo at our launch would have been tremendous, but we are not reliant on massive exclusive titles to drive console adoption. if you don't have exclusives, especially massive exclusives, your platform will surely die eventually. Because if you have no incentive to get anybody on your box, and we're going to talk about PlayStation most definitely, because PS5 is looking real different to me right now as far as like a day one or even a month later pickup for me. But anyway, I just find this to be a very telling story that these guys, they aren't really depending on exclusive titles to drive their console adaptation, but they're relying on last generation games to get them to where they need to be. I mean, we'll have to stick around and see what happens with this, but Cindy Walker, my goodness, I truly have to disagree. I believe you guys were definitely waiting on Halo. Well, not waiting, but depending on Halo to give you guys a bit of an edge. And when that fell through, I understand Cindy, she's just doing her job, man. She's just saying what she has to say to make it seem like everything is good at Microsoft, but that's not a great strategy, at least in my opinion. But who the heck am I? Let's go ahead and move on into the next story. Now, let's talk about some pretty shocking Nintendo news, because, or it ain't even really that shocking, but Ori and the Will of the Wisp is, no, not Ori and the Will of the Wisp. I messed that up. Ori and, is it the Will of the Wisp? Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, Ori and the Will of the Wisp is available on the Nintendo Switch for $29.99. Now, this is interesting to me because back on June 29th of 2020, Moon Studios lead engineer, and I'm going to get his name wrong, his first name, but Gennady, his last name is Korol, Korol. He said in a GameSpot article, the team, quote, loves Nintendo's console. They are not currently working on a port. He even went as far as to say, quote, it would be an extremely difficult port to make run at 60 frames per second. So 6 months later, it's on the Switch. And man, I have to say that this absolutely had to be planned. Like I said, these companies, they all say things that aren't true. This is just incredible to me because you think about it, God dog, Phil Spencer, man, oh man, didn't this guy say, what was it, a interview with, was it IGN? I forget, but he said that he doesn't, I think the person that was interviewing him asked him, would Ori and the Will of the Wisps be coming to the Nintendo Switch? And this guy, Phil, he said, well, I don't want people to continue to ask about what's going on the Switch or, from the Xbox camp. And, we're trying to, anyway, man, I don't know. Look, listen, man, Phil Spencer, he basically said that it wasn't going to happen. He doesn't want people constantly asking him if it came to the Xbox One as an exclusive, is the Switch going to get it? So he wanted to set some parameters, allegedly, to, have people stop asking him about that. But, I mean, as we see now, once again, the Will of the Wisp came much faster than even Ori and the Blind Forest did when it came to the Switch. It came out like less than 6 months later. So another exclusive gone from the Xbox camp. Man, what else is new under the sun? Let's go ahead into some quick Xbox news, though. Pre-orders for Xbox Series X and X go live on September 22nd at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, you will be able to pre-order from Target, Walmart, Amazon, Costco, GameStop, Sam's Club, Best Buy, and Newegg if you guys are interested. So, now let's talk about Jim Ryan. Jim Ryan, he might not have been forthcoming and transparent about some of those PlayStation 5 games working on PS4, but it is one thing he is being very upfront about, and that is how he views PlayStation's games coming day one in a subscription service. Now, he says, and I quote, "For us, having a catalog of games is not something that defines a platform. Our pitch, as you've heard, is new games, great games. We have had this conversation before. We are not going to go down the road of putting new releases, titles into a subscription model." He continues by telling GameBiz, Sony's first-party games cost millions of dollars to develop. The company does not view having a subscription model as sustainable. We want to make the games bigger and better and hopefully at some stage more persistent. So putting those into a subscription model on day one for us just doesn't make any sense. End of quote. Good old Jim Ryan. God dang. Man, oh man. Wish this guy, like I said before, wish he could have been this transparent about certain PlayStation 5 games being on PlayStation 4. God dog. But I'm going to get past that for a minute and just say that, look, he's doubling down. Everybody that wants Sony to do the same thing that Microsoft is doing, it is obviously clear. Now, once again, unless this guy's lying again and just pulling our leg, he's saying that no, their games cost millions upon millions of dollars, and this subscription model, it just is not sustainable for what they're trying to do. So unless something changes like it did with PlayStation 5 games being on PlayStation 4, which I'm sure that was the plan the whole time, but unless something changes, then we can more than likely, at least for now, put to bed the notion that PlayStation will be putting their games day and date in their service. It doesn't seem like that's the path they're trying to take. I think that Classics is about as close as you're going to get to their big AAA hitters being in a service, and we know that those games are years old. And, you know, some of them are good, but my goodness, I've played, God dog, like for the big titles, like 80% of them I've played and beaten them, you know, so it's not something for me. Just like Game Pass, to be fair, that's not a service for me. I like to own my games and, instead of renting them, it's always better to own. But, that's about it for this. So let's go ahead and get into the next story. This is just talking about how big the PlayStation 5 is. I don't even know why I wrote this down, but it does. If you're interested, it sits at 15.4 inches tall. It's 10.24 inches deep and 4.09 inches wide. God dag. And for comparison, the Xbox Series X is 11.85 inches tall and 5.94 inches deep and 5.94 inches wide. So, yeah, this joke is quite a bit taller than the Series X. Little over 3 inches taller during there. So, yeah, but that's about it for that. Let's get into some PC gaming news. Now, on Reddit, an NVIDIA rep responded to a user who wanted to buy a special edition 3080 graphics card where he said, and I quote, "I can't comment for our partners, but we will have more cards next week," end of quote. Now, he also said, quote, "Users who previously signed up to be notified but did not get a chance to place an order will receive an email when the store has been updated with additional GeForce RTX 3080 graphics cards," end of quote. So if you guys were in the market, you PC dudes, for GeForce RTX 3080, and you guys were signed up, you'll be getting an email, and they will be getting, more stock in next week, so just be on the lookout. Moving into some quick news, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, the reason why I wanted the PlayStation 5. We actually got some, I guess, how big the games will be, how much they'll be taking up as far as the the hard drive space. This comes from PlayStation Direct website. Now, for the launch edition of Spider-Man Miles Morales, it will take up at least 50 gigabytes of hard drive space, and the Ultimate Launch Edition will take up at least 105 gigabytes of hard drive space. Now, the 105 gigs of hard drive space, at least with the Ultimate Launch Edition, if you didn't know, it'll include Miles Morales, and it will also include Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4 being remastered. So yeah, that's a pretty hefty tag, man, on your hard drive. That's a lot. But this is the thing. We can move on from that, but keeping with Sony, this has been a heck of a week for PlayStation, and I have questions. I really do. One of the main things that I have a question about is backwards compatibility. Now, the thing that actually spawned me to think about this was the Spider-Man Ultimate Launch Edition. Now, back in March, Jim Ryan, he sat down with the Washington Post and said that they believe the, quote, overwhelming majority, end of quote, of PlayStation 4 games would be backwards compatible. And even in a Verge article in March, they said, and I quote, and this is the thing that I have questions about. He says, Sony said, we're expecting backward compatible titles will run at a boosted frequency on PlayStation 5 so that they can benefit from higher or more stable frame rates and potentially higher resolutions. End of quote. Now, Sony even went as far as to say, and I quote again, we're currently evaluating games on a title-by-title basis to spot any issues that need adjustment from the original software developers. End of quote. Now, this is the question. Do you guys think that this is true? Because already, as I talked about just in the last story a few seconds ago, here you have Sony relaunching another game from the PlayStation 4. Well, the first game, one of the first games for the PlayStation 5 from the PlayStation 4 era as a remaster. Does this mean, quite possibly, that they will not be doing the same upgrades as Microsoft to their current games library? Now, I understand that you can't really expect to be able to do but so much with third-party games. I know that Microsoft, they're saying that the Xbox Series X will be able to do it automatically. That's yet to be seen. Hopefully that is true. But I know that Microsoft, they're talking about smart delivery and taking advantage of it with their games, their first-party games. We've seen Gears running at 60 frames per second or 120 frames per second. So we understand that this is something that Microsoft is concentrating on. But can we truly say the same for Sony when they're already fresh out the gate at the beginning of the PlayStation 5's life cycle? They're already re-releasing a game from the PlayStation 4 and making it a remaster. And then you look into the classics folder. I haven't heard Sony coming out talking about Uncharted 4 is going to be enhanced, or Ratchet and Clank from the PlayStation 4 is going to be enhanced. We haven't heard anything like that from Sony. So is this going to be another situation where these guys are out there selling us games that we already own and just up-resing them, making them run at a better frame rate, making them, just appear to be a little more prettier with ray tracing? I'm going to tell you, man, normally, and you know what? This is why, everybody should want competition. Normally, I would have probably just sat there. You guys heard me on here on Wednesday, still excited talking about Spider-Man Miles Morales with the Spider-Man PlayStation 4 edition being remastered. That was going to be great. That was going to be awesome. I'm still excited. I would still buy it. And I'm sitting here today like, wait a minute. I got to shout out my brother, Aaron. Shout out to that good brother, man. I was talking to him on the phone, man. This guy I've been, amazing friends, brothers, pretty much for like 15 plus years. And I was just telling him about about Microsoft actually giving you enhancements with games that you already own. And he was like, man, I didn't even know that. And we just had a small conversation, but I definitely wanted to shout him out because as I was talking to him, I started getting a little salty about the way Sony could quite possibly be handling this situation. Because like I was trying to get out before I had to shout out my homeboy. I would have normally just been like, this is fine. But now that Microsoft is doing it, and it is a very pro-consumer move, everybody can say, what they want. And I understand it 1,000%. People don't buy new consoles to play old games. I truly respect that if that's how you feel. But me, I have one heck of a backlog, man. Y'all know I got games in the wrapper I'm not playing right now that I haven't gotten around to. So for me, it is a little bit more important, for a gamer like myself that I'm taking my library forward with me and I can go back and play these games, at a time, that I find the time to be able to do it. And then just to kind of sweeten the deal, these games, not all, only some will be enhanced. I think that's great. And looking at how it's looking right now over on Sony's side, it looks like they aren't going to be giving you anything. Now, this is still very early on. The consoles aren't even out, to be fair, but we have not heard anything outside of this article back in March about them saying that these games would run in a boosted frequency on PlayStation 5. And I would have to believe that with this huge push of Microsoft being out there telling you what they're going to be offering to their player base, that if this was something that Sony really did have in the tuck, that they were just waiting to pull out, they would have start talking about it, because to me, I think that's a selling point. But instead, these guys haven't said much of anything. So to me, I will probably make that the question of the week. But anyway, yeah, man, I'm just not, I don't know. I mean, I'm still a huge fan of PlayStation. They have been the better console by a landslide this generation, and I've definitely enjoyed everything that they've done. I think they've been, for the most part, pretty pro-consumer, because like I said, man, look, they offer the games, I give them the money. I don't get caught up in these, companies, being, oh man, I thought they were my friend. No, it's business. We all know that. They offer me entertainment, I give them money. To me, that is a fair trade, and they have been by far the best at it this generation. It's just, it really, when I was recording that podcast, and you guys probably can tell by my energy level this week, I'm just kind of, I don't know, I'm in a different headspace. It has nothing to do with gaming or anything like that. Everything is good. I'm fine, man. It's just every episode, I'm just not going to be as excited, and this is just one of those episodes, man. But I was just so pumped up, man, to get the PlayStation 5. And that's what I was saying. When I was recording that episode, I just knew about Spider-Man Miles Morales. I was like, man, that's pretty dope. That's good. Yeah, it's less of a reason for me to get the console, but that's still a good move. That's cool, Sony. That's what you call, that's being, consumer friendly. You got over 100 million people that possibly, of course, 100 million weren't going to buy it, Miles Morales, but you're giving your player base the chance to actually enjoy your game. That's cool. That's great. But for me, I was still like, man, I need that incentive. But then I was still like, well, Horizon Forbidden West is still a PlayStation 5 exclusive. When I found out that wasn't an exclusive, bro, did I say it wasn't it? When I found out that wasn't an exclusive, god dog, man, that took all of the wind out of my sails, man. I sat there and I said, good gosh, man, that's not an exclusive. Sheesh, that's tough. And then we find out it's rumors. It's not 100% confirmed. But then just to throw some more ice on me, brother, I mean, it's also the rumor going around talking about the God of War. Two things are going around. God of War, the new one, is going to be on the PlayStation 4. God dang, I hope not. And then they're saying that it's going to be likened to The Lost Legacy as far as like length. It's not going to be a fully fledged game. It's going to kind of be like a bit of a side quest kind of game. You know, like The Lost Legacy. If you're familiar with that, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm sitting there like, no. And then Jim Ryan came out and said, man, this guy said we're going to be supporting, and this isn't new. It's not new news. We've heard it before. Generation after generation, these guys, they hold on to their previous generation for a few years. But Jim Ryan, didn't this guy say he was going to be holding on to the PlayStation 4 for like 2 to 4 years from now? Good gosh. I'm saying to myself, look, man, you know what, Microsoft, hey, Phil, brother, I don't know what the strategy is. I don't know what's going on, but I have to applaud him and his team for at least being up front with what was going on with the Series X and the Series S. Everybody's talking about it's going to hold gaming back. I was saying it was going to hold it back. It was a terrible idea. And all of a sudden, God dog, Jim Ryan comes out. That joker wouldn't even announce it on the stage because he knew it was bad news. But he's saying, hey, look, we doing the same thing. Dag. Man, I don't know. I'm not getting the PlayStation 4. I'm not getting it day and date. I probably wouldn't even been able to have gotten one anyway, even if I had tried. But that really took a little bit of the excitement from me of being an early adopter. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm probably going to mess around and get that joint in the spring. In spring 2021, at least by that time, Ratchet and Clank will be out, some other games will be out, and we'll take it from there. But mainly, I'm just getting it for Ratchet and Clank at this point because I'm such a huge fan of that game. But if they better not come out and say Ratchet and Clank is also on the PlayStation 4, I'ma lose it. Because then it's like I have absolutely zero incentive to go out and get the PlayStation 5 early. Yeah, I understand that the graphics are going to be better, that the frame rates are going to be better, you're going to get a better performance. I understand that. But for me, I just need incentive to go out and get these consoles. If these games that I am highly anticipating and are on just pins and needles waiting for, if they aren't available exclusively for that platform and I can get it on another platform, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to do it. I just can't. I'm just not. I mean, gaming is my favorite hobby, but I am not going to just switch over automatically like that. You got to give me a reason to. But Jim Ryan, PlayStation, it was a bit of a blow to get that news this week. And, Microsoft, God dog, gotta commend them. Are they going to be, is Sony going to be holding back gaming? Because they're going to be releasing on the PlayStation 4 as well and the PlayStation 5. Are they really going to make two different versions? The same thing that people were saying that Microsoft would do, but then people said, no, they're not. And I understand Microsoft, they have done way more damage. And for people, this is the thing. And I figured it out, at least in my mind. I'm probably a zillion % wrong. But over the week, and this stuff ain't written, man. I don't even know where I'm going to go in this episode, brothers, because I'm going completely off script. But people want to know why PlayStation gets a pass. Now, it is wrong. I think it's real wrong that we haven't heard anything from the media talking about Sony and how they just flat out lied to our faces, where Jim Ryan was talking all of that hot stuff, talking about, we believe in generations and you have to, you can only experience these kinds of games on the PlayStation 5. Yeah, he sold us a whole bunch of lies, but I understand what he meant. Maybe the 60 frames per second. But nah, he just lied. Flat out, it was a lie. Totally lied, man. But people want to know why Sony does get a pass. I can tell you exactly why. People may be mad. They may call Sony out and say, yeah, that was messed up. But they still say, but I'm going to go ahead and get the console anyway. Kind of be hypocrites or whatever. But the reason why Sony gets that pass is because at the end of the day, we are gamers, man. And we're looking for the best gaming experiences. And that's what Sony has given us over and over, time and time and time again. Now, that is subjective. Some people may feel like Sony hasn't given them any reason to get their console, and I respect that. But for most gamers, say what you want about Sony. Yeah, Sony had a rocky launch with the PlayStation 5, that debacle. Talking about, yeah, it's going to be available tomorrow. Walmart or somebody pulled the trigger early, and the whole situation was just fumbled. Everybody was taking pre-orders early. Sony lost just total control of what was going on with the pre-orders. A lot of people got thrown out in the cold, and they got to wait. It was just bad news after bad news after bad news for Sony this past week. But people just really care about the games, man. Everybody will be a hypocrite eventually. It's just a matter of time. I've been a hypocrite, I don't know, man, maybe 7,900,000 times. I don't know. I've lost count. But that's what it comes down to. For people to say, why don't they call Sony out on that, man? Sony got the games, man. And does that make it right? Absolutely not. But when you're giving the people what they want, that's all that matters. Gaming is a selfish hobby. We want what we want when we want it. We don't care if devs are going through a hard time. We don't care if they're working triple shifts. We want the games at the end of the day, and that's what matters to us. It's a selfish hobby. It's okay to be selfish, man. It's okay. It's not a big deal. It's gaming. We're all passionate. We all like what we like. But anyway, man, Sony, y'all just really screwed up this week. And ain't even no need even talking about it anymore. But I do want to leave you guys with just something else, though. If you are a Walmart shopper and thought you were going to get the PlayStation 5 there, Walmart has come out, a spokesperson has come out, and he said, or her, and I quote, Walmart has decided not to proceed with the planned store pre-order to control store traffic and keep our customers safe and socially distanced. Customers can still get the console on November 12th when it's released. Apologies for any confusion. End of quote. So if you thought you could just run to the store, pick it up at Walmart in droves when it hits, Nah, they ain't gonna be doing it like that. So you're gonna have to be a doggone keyboard shopper and snag a PlayStation 5 over on their online store. And I mean, I understand that. I mean, we in the middle of a pandemic, things are just what they are. But oh yeah, also if you were trying to get an all digital PlayStation 5 now, this is interesting. It definitely may be harder than you think because Ars Technica was able to confirm the initial pre-order allocations for 9 GameStop locations over the USA and found out that roughly 24% of the PlayStation 5s were digital and 76% were the standard edition. Now, this leads me into I would say a very interesting question for you guys out there. Now, we were talking about the Xbox Series S and Xbox Series X. And man, stuff gets so confusing after a while. Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 digital and the PlayStation 5 just the regular standard edition. Now, people could say that the Series X and the digital version being $100 a piece. I mean, not $100 a piece, $100 difference between each other. Actually, I don't even want to talk about the X. I'm all over the place. I want to talk about the S. If this digital version is going to be in way less circulation to the populace, do you guys think that, okay, if you are looking for the digital edition, I'm trying to get my thoughts together. Okay, yeah, like I said, if you're looking for the digital edition and it's not there, and it's just a $500 PlayStation 5, because I think it's obvious they didn't want to go that low, but Microsoft, man, you gotta thank Microsoft, man. I'm gonna say thank you, Phil. Thank you, Microsoft team. Because if they didn't put that price point where it is right now, I think it would have been much higher. How much higher? I don't know. But I think it would have been much higher. But with that being said, if the average consumer is out there looking for the digital version and it's far less in the wild versus the PlayStation 5 physical, and then on the other side of the ring, you have the Series X and the S, which is $300. Here it is. It's no longer a possible $100 gap between the two, but it's $200. You can get a Series S. Yes, it's going to not have all of the bells and whistles. It won't have native 4K. You'll be at 1440p. You'll be able to play games up to 120 frames per second, but you won't have all of the bells and whistles of the PlayStation 5 physical edition, but you save $200 if you get the Series S. Do you guys think that would make a difference to the average consumer? I'm not talking about us, the hardcore. I'm talking about just an average parent trying to go out there, get their kid a Christmas gift, birthday gift, a you been good gift. I don't know. Can go out there and get it for whatever. And they see that big of a price difference. I gotta say, man, listen, man, I know Xbox ain't got no games. I'm 100%. I already know. We already know. But you top that $300 in with Game Pass. You walking out the store with 100 plus games for $300 versus $500. Hey, dog, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that could be a more interesting conversation with a possible $200 gap being there, would that be enough to have consumers say, you know what? You saying if I get the PlayStation 5, it's going to be $500, but I don't get any games. Versus I pay $300, and it's this thing called, what you call it, Game Pass? Game Pass? And my kid can have 100+ games to play. You know what? I'm tired of saying kids, man. My girlfriend or my boyfriend or my fiance could have, 100+ games to play. Huh? For $300? I don't know, man. That could be an interesting situation. If they're smart, they better make sure that they have a lot more digital models circulating around. And I understand this is the first round. They have, this thing is going to last 7+ years for this upcoming generation that's coming. But I really think if they want to not necessarily compete, because we know who has the better launch lineup, who has the better future launch lineup, it's PlayStation all day. And that's what it's about. It's about the games at the end of it all. But for that parent that's just trying to get, I keep saying a parent, man, for that person that's just trying to get somebody a gift and they're trying to be real savvy about it, it's a real good debate, I would say, about the value of one versus the other, outside of the graphics and outside of the resolution and all of that stuff. But I don't know, man. I'm gonna be interested. But I guess the short answer would have been just, if you're trying to get the all digital, just be on the lookout for it, because it just might not be easy to get. That's all. But we almost done here, guys. We're almost done. Let's talk about CyberPunk 2077, because we did get some news this week during the Ninth City Wire, where senior Quest designer Patrick K. Mills talked about the length of CyberPunk 2077 when he actually compared it to the length of The Witcher 3. Now, he said, and I quote, "We do know that the main story run in Cyberpunk 2077 is slightly shorter than The Witcher 3 because we got a lot of complaints about Witcher 3's main story just being too long. Looking at the metrics, you see tremendous numbers of people played through that game really far, but never made it to the end. We want you to see the full story, so we did shorten the main story, but we have lots to do. And in terms of a completionist campaign, I just don't have that number." End of quote. So you might be asking yourself, how long is The Witcher 3's main story? Well, this is according to completionists. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, How Long to Beat. That's a website. Actually, IGN had linked that. But as far as they're concerned, How Long to Beat, The Witcher 3's main story takes around 51.5 hours, but a completionist run can take around 172 hours. So even if Cyberpunk 2077 is shorter than The Witcher 3, that's still a lot of game, especially if you're trying to complete the total package. At 51.5 hours, even if Cyberpunk is maybe 40 hours long, that's still a good length, man. But we know that the DLC and all of that other stuff that's going to come with Cyberpunk 2077 is definitely going to make it a heck of a length, But, yeah, it won't be as long as The Witcher 3, but I still think the game is going to be a good enough length. We're going to be happy with what we get, hopefully, and the game will be great. But, that's gonna, well, no. Just two reminders here, before we wrap it up. Mafia Definitive Edition, if you were interested in that's going to be released on September 25th. That game is looking great too, man. I'm definitely getting that for sure. Will I beat it or even open it up? That's up for debate. That's going to be sitting on the shelf like 2 years from now. But I'm definitely going to pick it up. The game looks fantastic. I'm hoping that the development team, they do a much better job with this versus Mafia 3. I loved Mafia 3's story. The controls and the graphics, I mean, they could definitely have been better. But it does look like Mafia, the original one, is shaping up to be something very, very, very good. But the other reminder here is, for any of you guys that have CBS All Access, on September 23rd, the documentary that's called Console Wars is going to premiere on their network, and it's going to actually concentrate on the two that really got me into the console war to start with. Most guys my age, we knew it to be between Nintendo and Sega. Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Oh, man, it was just the best. Oh, the golden age. The golden age of console wars, man. Good gosh, man. And it rages on today. But that is going to do it for the gaming news this week, man. Let me see. Now, the question of the week, I guess I can ask this, man. I thought I had it in my mind what I wanted to ask y'all. I might have to make this up on the fly. Yeah, is backwards compatibility important to y'all? Is that something that you guys are interested in? Is that a make or break for you? Does backwards compatibility matter to you? I guess I would ask. For me, it does. And it's a deeper question though. Because, like I said, that Spider-Man, the PlayStation 4 version being enhanced for the PlayStation 5, after reading what they said in that article, that Verge article, talking about it would run it in boost mode and, would enhance it and all of that stuff, and then looking at what they're doing already, I'm like, man, was that just smoke? Were y'all just blowing that and that wasn't real and it was, just for show? Or are you guys really going to do that? Because you guys remember a couple of weeks ago, I believe they were already saying that some discs won't even work in the PlayStation 5 from the PlayStation 4, where you gotta have a digital version for it to work, and all of this workaround BS that you gotta go through. I'm just like, man, good gosh. I don't know. I don't know if Sony's, being sincere, but I mean, I'm a person that loves to see competition push the competition, and I think that I understand Sony is the clear winner. They have the better games. I'll give them that all day. Have I enjoyed my PlayStation more than Xbox when it's come to amazing exclusives? 1,000,000,000% yes. Yes, I have. But at the same time, I understand you don't have to do exactly with what your competition is doing, but it doesn't hurt to do some things that are just pro. I ain't even going to use that pro consumer stuff. People definitely overuse that for everything. I'm not going to say that. I'll just say that it'd be nice to see you throw your guys, people that support you, a bone every now and again, and just say, we're going to just enhance this. I mean, we haven't seen the PlayStation 5 up close and personal. Digital Foundry hasn't gotten their hands on it. And to be fair, I mean, it's COVID-19 going on. I'm sure that may play a factor or a role in them not getting the console, or Sony just might not want them to have it, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I could be definitely eating some crow, eating some bird on this one, and Sony comes out and says, oh, no, look, we have the version on the PS4. This is how it's going to run on the PS5. I mean, I don't know. But the main question was, does backwards compatibility matter to you? And like I said, more importantly, would you want to get your games enhanced for free as well? If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can either call in at 443-216-9934 and leave a voice message, let your voice be heard, or you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. That's going to wrap it up, guys. I definitely appreciate you guys being here. The energy levels just weren't here this week, man. Sometimes, brother, to be fair with you and honest, you just be a little tired, man. It ain't nothing that next week won't handle. Got to be to work in a couple of hours, man. I'm just a little tired. That's all. But, don't sweat it, because I'm not sweating it, but we'll definitely be back at it again next week. But before we officially get out of here, always remember, it's not about the consoles, it's about the games. And with that being said, you guys take care and be safe out there. Bye-bye.